All right, guys, so I'm excited to talk to you about the new Traxxas Sledge that's coming out. We just started getting pictures of it online, and it hasn't even been released on Traxxas's website, but based on what I'm seeing here, this is a real vehicle. Now, this appears like it's going to be a Arrma Kraton 6S competitor, probably also going to be taking the place of, if not supplementing, the Traxxas eRevo 2.0. There isn't a ton of information available about it yet, but looking at the pictures, we can see that it is a 6S truck. It's going to be 70+ mile an hour capable. The shocks appear to be very similar to the Traxxas 4S Max, but if you actually look between them, this shock tower is aluminum. I don't know if Traxxas has ever done an aluminum shock tower before, so that's kind of cool to see. You can see it's got steel drive shafts. The rear suspension is very similar to Arrma, where it's got a lower arm and then an upper link. This upper link does not appear to be adjustable. Of course, I'm sure Traxxas is going to be happy to sell you an upgrade that will be adjustable. Looking at the front suspension, it appears they have departed from the double pillow ball style suspension, and this looks like a very similar suspension setup to the Traxxas 4S Max, where it's got a C-hub and then a separate knuckle. The axle outdrives and nuts appear to be very similar to what you would get in the eRevo 2.0. This appears like it's going to be a pretty low-slung truck, again, probably going squarely after the Arrma Kraton, which I think this is smart for Traxxas. The eRevo 2.0 really doesn't stand in the same league as the Kraton for bashing. It's fast and it's low-slung, but it's really not that durable, so this kind of a thing is pretty much inevitable. Let's take a closer look at the specifications we do have information on. So it's going to come with the VXL 6S ESC, which I'm sure no one is surprised about. It's going to have a 2000 kV brushless motor, which will probably be pretty similar to the one in the eRevo 2.0. It's going to have an aluminum motor mount cradle. It says here it's going to be 70 miles an hour with two 3S LiPo batteries. I don't know if that means it's going to have two separate battery compartments or if they're just planning on having them stacked on top of each other and you can run one 6S battery. I really hope they have it set up to where you can run one 6S battery, because being forced to use two 3S batteries is one of the downsides of the eRevo 2.0. Of course, for them, I don't think they have a 6S battery that they sell, so that's probably why they have it set up for this. It's going to have TQI, TSM, all that good stuff. Like I said before, it's going to have the steel drive shafts. It talks about 8mm stub axles, Mod 1 pinion and spur gears. I expect this pinion and spur gear system to be the same thing as you're going to see in the X-Max, in the eRevo 2.0, and the Max, where it's got that cush drive. They don't say if they're going to be steel or not. Torque biasing center drive, that's just a center differential. It says here 8mm output shafts. Now that's huge if they're talking about the actual drive shafts, but I'll have to wait to see on that. Here we go, it says, yeah, the GT Max shocks, so it's going to be the same basic shocks that are on the Max, which are great shock. Okay, so the shock towers are going to be 60-61 aluminum, so they're not going to be 70-75. Hopefully they are 5mm thick, so hopefully they're not going to bend too easily anyway. Composite arms, so plastic like you'd expect. Is going to come with integrated rock deflectors, which is pretty sweet. It says here requires no adjustments, which basically just means allows for no adjustments. It says here 3.2mm ribbed aluminum chassis. It'll be interesting to see how much of the chassis actually is aluminum. Thick aluminum T-bar, that's going to be probably a tower-to-tower brace. Clipless body, just like the eRevo 2.0, X Max and Max. There's no surprise there. 2275 Metal Gear servo, which is, I think that's their new servo. I haven't really had one, but it'll be interesting to see how strong it is. It says 347 ounce-inches, which is pretty darn good. And then 6.7-inch sledgehammer tires, which I don't think they've released previously. They've got the ones for the Max and the ones for the X Max, but these are going to be in between those. So that's really all the information we have on this so far. I think it looks really good. Like I said before, it makes perfect sense that Traxxas would come out with something like this. I think it's kind of funny that they're basically copying Arrma as far as having an aluminum chassis and things like that. In a car like this, it's really hard to design this type of car without having at least some of the same setup that the Arrma does, because that's just the best way to do it. That being said, it's Traxxas. I'm sure there'll be plenty of differences between the two. This is pretty much all the information I have for now. When we get more detailed information, which I'm sure will be coming once this actually gets released from Traxxas, I'll make a new video and we'll talk about it in more detail. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe and like, and we'll talk to you next time.